addiction was about 15 years. And I had not shared it with very many people, so I had been very alone. I formed a group and I named it the Addict Family, and we call it TAF. And I started having meetings in November of 2015, and we meet twice a month. And we started doing little events and getting some news coverage, which is not always easy, but it seemed to come very easy in Bristol for whatever reason, and we were very grateful for that. So we took that news coverage and ran with it and started using that opportunity to raise awareness and get people interested in how addiction begins and how it can happen to anyone and why we have to change the way we think about it. And the next thing that happened was there was a gentleman by the name of Michael De Leon who was doing a documentary on how addiction affects the family. So he asked if there was anyone in the area that wanted to be part of that, and my name got turned into him for that, so my other son Chris and I were part of that. And that was in December, so things were moving pretty rapidly. And I just kept moving forward. I felt like as long as I kept moving that I could forget about some of the bad things that were going on. And some of those were that my son died in the presence of someone who chose not to call 911 until it was too late. And we found out that she was also with some other people when they passed away of an overdose. And I was not treated very kindly when we talked to the police here, and so I was trying to push all that down, and I decided I had to turn it over to God and that He would handle that young lady, because it was something I had to let go. So I just kept pushing forward, and I did. And I started working with Nancy really hard on the naloxone and the Good Samaritan law, and we partnered up, and she came to Bristol and she did naloxone training with my group, and we just kept pushing forward and working closely as much as we could, and I just got such respect for this person who seemed to never ever run out of energy, and she gave me energy that I didn't know that I had. She gave me hope when I felt my hope fading. And so then I started getting invited to things from the White House, like a meeting with the Secretary of Agriculture, and I didn't know how that happened, but I went. Anything I got invited to, I went, and anything I could participate in, I participated. And I just kept moving forward. We opened a thrift store, and I just kept taking more and more things on, and maybe as I do this, and I get tired sometimes, but it keeps me pushing and working and being a voice for David and for everyone else, and trying to change the face of what addiction has become in this country, because it's not very pleasant. We have to change that. We have to become the voice. We have to make people understand that addiction is not shameful. It's not bad. It's not a choice. Addiction is a disease that no one chooses. Everyone deserves the right to treatment. The one treatment does not work for everyone. We have to change the access to treatment for everyone. So I became a partner with a group at home that's trying very hard to expand some treatment at home. I've been to Nashville to help them speak at their certificate of need. So I just keep fighting and fighting and fighting. And I will continue to fight. And I want to tell all of you to keep fighting. In August, we did a fundraiser for naloxone, and I did this in large part inspired by Nancy. The city police at home do not carry naloxone. Fire department does not carry it. The EMTs do. But Chris and I, my son, we decided that they should carry it. So we did a fundraiser. We raised some money, and we worked really hard, and we're still working, and we still have some money coming in. We're going to try our best to get the city police armed with naloxone so they can be first on the scene and administer this medication when it's needed. Because we don't know whose life will be next. It could be their daughter or son. They don't know. So that was a big project in August. And then through those efforts, I got a phone call from Kaleo, which is a big manufacturer, and SVO, and they are going to honor a grant that we applied for the Sheriff's Department. It was turned down, but now they're going to honor that grant and supply our Sullivan County Sheriff's Department with that naloxone. So my big message to you guys here today is don't give up. Have hope. My next event is Lights of Hope on September 24th, and it couldn't be more fitting. Lights of Hope. It's where I started. It's where I'm going to finish. 1 year. 1 year. Lights of Hope. Can't give up hope. And that's what I want all of you to remember here. Your days may seem dark. Some of your losses are very recent, but your victories are going to be right behind them. Your loss is never going to get easy. It's never going to get easy, but it is going to become more bearable. Your days are going to seem a little more bearable, I promise. You're still going to cry sometimes. That hurt's going to be there. It's never going away. But you're going to see the victories, and your tears are going to become more joyful. You cannot give up. So with this hope, I just want all of you to promise that you'll dig deep, and you're going to promise me that you're going to continue the fight, that your children can't continue for themselves now. You're going to become their voice. And you're going to become the voice for those who feel like they don't have a voice. Because I remember when David felt like his voice didn't matter. So now I am his voice, and I'm the voice for all those who feel like their voice doesn't count. And I'm going to continue that. And I ask all of you to pledge to do that. Become their voice. Become a voice for someone who feels like their voice doesn't count. And if we all do that, then we can make a difference for them.
Now I feel really awkward. Oh, here she is.
Here she is. Hello, I'm Donna. I'm Tegan's mom, and everything that's just been said is hard to follow. I feel like everything's been covered, and everybody that knows me knows Tegan's story. I'm just here to thank everyone for being here. I'd like to start by thanking my family and my close friends. They've supported me and stood by me and Tegan for the last 13 years. They were standing beside her bed when she passed away, holding her hand. They mean the world to me. I wish my family would stand up or raise their hand. There's tons of them here. Let's give them a round of applause. I don't know what I would have did without them. I don't know how people do it that don't have the support that I have. I think other people should be jealous of me. And some people maybe were Tegan when she was young, because we had so much love and such a great family. It can tell you that it can happen to anyone. I would have never in my wildest dreams thought my beautiful, sweet, talented girl. She was so smart. And these girls here, this is Tegan's team. They were friends of my daughter's, gosh, starting at some of them 4 and 5 years old. She lost contact with them. Probably hadn't seen some of them in more than 13 years. And when they heard that Tegan was in the hospital and Tegan had passed, they come to my side. They created Tegan's team, which is why most of us are here today. These young women are what it's about. They fight for what's right. The main person I really would like to thank is Nancy, who's standing beside me. She helped me raise my crazy daughter. She did the good part. But I want to thank them so much. And one of you for making me feel welcome and feel like I'm not ashamed to be standing up here because I, as a parent, did nothing wrong. Was I perfect? No way. None of us are. My child was loved and given every opportunity and surrounded with great people and great family. So I really, really thank everybody for supporting all of us and what we do. Just briefly, I want to touch on a few things that my family struggled with when we were starting this epidemic. I knew nothing about this. Tegan was 16 years old when she first started this. I had no idea what the road was leading to. I was in denial for a while. But then I educated myself and still found no help anywhere. So what we're doing today is helpful. People are being able to talk about it, seek help, and know that they're not crazy or they did nothing wrong. They're an addict. They just have something missing, something that makes them want it. I don't understand it, and I never will, but I do know it's a disease. It took me a long time to know that. We did tough love, kicked our daughter out of the house. She'd show up on our porch crying. We wouldn't let her in. It was the hardest thing in the world. We loved her, we tough loved her. Nothing changed what happened to her in the end, but we can change things now. So thank everyone for being here. I would like to briefly talk about the Justice Center that Knox County is trying to erect in Old North Knoxville. As taxpayers, I think everyone should look into it and see what it's about. I think it's a major step in the right direction. Instead of sending these addicts to jail, they're getting mental health. They may get some medications, which is what they need. My daughter did methadone for years. I thought it was the most ridiculous thing, and so did she. About 8 months before she passed, she came to me and told me that she had gotten Suboxone. And she said, Mom, I feel more normal than I ever have in my life. I can sleep, I can eat, I don't feel like bugs are crawling all over me. I don't know where she got the money to get it. I tried to help her for a few months. It was over $400 and something a month. We couldn't afford it, she couldn't afford it, and in the end she would sell it to try to get her next month's quota, and she wasn't getting the medication she needed. So healthcare reform and jail reform and all of us being together means a lot. Thank you guys for coming, and thank you,
my name is Ruzic. I'm here today because I lost my 20-year-old son 8 months ago to the fake pressed pills containing fentanyl. Not prescription grade fentanyl, they're an analog of fentanyl. I'm sure you've all heard. Most of the overdoses recently are due to fentanyl. When I heard that my son died from a fake pill, I didn't understand. What do you mean a fake pill? So I started educating myself. Learning a lot. I started Caleb's song. He was a big music lover, and so was I. So now I'm going to have events with music and awareness. September the 10th at the Hive, we have Michael De Leon with Steered Straight coming. David Francisco is going to play, as well as Dajay Morris. It's going to be good. One thing I want to see change is the ERs. My son was admitted 4 days before he passed with a suspected overdose. He told them that he took a Percocet, but it didn't show up on the talk screen, although they treated him as a suspected overdose. He was there for 17 hours and released, and he came back 4 days later, and it was too late. I want everybody to have Narcan. There's no reason that any parent should not have access to Narcan. There's no reason that someone should go to an emergency room with an overdose and not leave with Narcan. And I want to thank Nancy Daniels. My energy is just about as crazy as hers, and she helps me focus. And stigma. Stigma hurts. Stigma prohibits people from getting help. It makes them feel shameful, and it also hurts the family members that are left behind. But it's only going to make me stronger. I can hear all the negative comments that people want to say about my son, but I'll defend him for all my days.
is Sherry Petrowski, and there's nothing really special about me. I'm just a mom, but I am and forever will be the mother of an addict. My son, Christopher, was 34 years old when he died of an overdose while detained in the Anderson County Detention Center. He passed about 45 minutes after his booking. As a result of that, and this was in July, he died July 4th, 2014. And as a mother, you feel that your child is safe in jail. When Chris didn't call me to come get him for our family cookout that July day, I became concerned and called his sponsor in Anderson County, who told me that Chris had been arrested around noon. And so I went to the Anderson County inmate database, and his name wasn't there. So I called Anderson County Detention Center and told them who I was, and told them what I had heard and that I needed confirmation of his arrest. They put me on hold, came back, and said they needed my name, address, and phone number, that their computers were down. So I gave them that information, and about an hour and a half later, I got a call from a detective who identified himself and said, we're in your neighborhood. We need to come talk to you about Chris. My mind wasn't letting me go there. My first thought was, oh, he's really done it now. They're investigating him. He's safe, he's in jail, but they're investigating him. So then the detective showed up. I was alone at the house with my son's 15-month-old son. And he showed up at the house with another gentleman that he identified as a chaplain. And still my mind wasn't going there. I was thinking, Chris is hurt. Chris is in the hospital. But then he came in and told me that Chris had passed. And I'm not going to dwell a lot on that, other than to say that as a result of my son's death, the male nurse was arrested and convicted for falsifying my son's records after he died. And I'm going to leave it at that at this point. But what I want you to know is that as you look around and you see all these families, all of your people sitting next to you, your peers, I want you to know that you're worth this battle. Somebody loves you. You've got families, your sons, your daughters, your fathers, your mothers. You are somebody to someone. And give yourself a round of applause. You guys are worth every battle, every war, every voice that will speak on your behalf. You are worth it. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You are worth this war. It's a war. And so we are here for you. And I want you to go forth with no shame and no stigma. Go forth, own it. And let's all own it together so that we can start addressing this in a realistic manner. It's too late for my son, and it's too late for some of the sons and daughters of some of the families that are here tonight, but it's not too late for you, and it's not too late for your loved one. And the previous speaker spoke about hope. My necklace says hope, and I wear it all the time. Hope. Don't ever lose hope. When my son first died, I lost hope. I always felt that as long as there was a breath in his body, there was hope for Chris. And then the day that he died, my hope died. But then I started meeting amazing people like Nancy and Rhonda and Sue and the people that have come here to support all of us tonight. And my hope began to grow again. So don't give up hope. You're worth it. And I know you've heard this before. My son, we battled addiction with my son. His drug of choice was alcohol. He would abuse opiates if given the opportunity. He wouldn't seek it out, but if it was there, he would abuse it. But alcohol was the main drug for my son. And cause of death for Chris was alcohol and morphine intoxication. And I forgot where I was going with this. But just know that you're worth it. You've got people that love you. You've got people that support you. And don't ever lose sight with that. I went to many AA meetings with my son. He was in and out of recovery centers. We were always by his side. I was a teacher for 27 years. I owned it the whole time. I refused to be shamed by my son. I refused it. And don't you ever be shamed by your situation in life.